I was majoring in journalism, and I had this friend of mine who was from Philadelphia. He was a novitiate that was going to try to get into the Jesuits. Loyola is a Jesuit school. And we became pretty good friends. And he only lasted about a year, and then he went back to Philly, and I stayed at Loyola, and he was sending me dispatches from the far north about the next great Elvis Presley. Chuck, this guy does 3-hour shows. I saw him at the Main Point. He's unbelievable. You got to go see him if he ever comes to New Orleans. So I was kind of on the lookout for this guy named Bruce Springsteen, you know, and sure enough, right, I got this record in the mail. I was the sports editor at the time, and I reviewed his record, the first record, Asbury Park, and gave it a really nice review. And I graduated from Loyola, and then his second record came out, and I put it on my 10 best list. You know, I really like this guy. And the editor of the paper kind of remembered me, and she moved up to the Times-Picayune. And I was doing some music criticism for her, and when I finally got onto the Times-Picayune myself, she said, "Hey, Chuck, would you do some music criticism for me?" And I said, "Yeah, sure. Who's coming? Who's coming to town?" "Well, Bruce Springsteen's coming next week." Wow, I thought, wow, yeah, that would be incredible. I'd love to see him. So I wrote her a little 10-inch blurb that was really my first story for the Times-Picayune entertainment section, advising people they shouldn't miss this guy. My friends on the East Coast said he was really great. You got to go see him. And he was amazing. And the promoter's name was Bill Johnston, and he was new to the area. And he loved the fact that I had given Bruce Springsteen really good publicity and helped him sell the show out. So, so I got front row tickets to see Bruce Springsteen a week after he was on the cover of Time and Newsweek. So after the show, I did about literally a 10-page review. That was probably the best piece of prose I ever wrote. It really sang. It really was good, and it won the New Orleans Press Club Award for Best Critical Review that year. And Springsteen's Born to Run tour, he was promoting Born to Run, which most of you probably know is a classic. And he started that tour at the Bottom Line in New York for 2 weeks, and then he came to New Orleans. And the tour started in New Orleans, and in October, or maybe late September. And then in May, the promoter called me up and said, "Hey, Chuck, Bruce is coming back for another show. He started the tour in New Orleans, and he would really like to end the tour in New Orleans, kind of this cyclic thing. Would you consider being the captain of a media softball team? His guys in the band and the roadies are playing softball now, and they'd really like to play the New Orleans Critics." And I said, "Are you kidding me? I thought like I was meeting the Pope, you know." So yeah, I'd be happy to do that. So he had a concert the night before this softball game, and by then he had started to become pretty big, and I went out to this field on the levee, the softball field on the levee, and the radio guys had been promoting the show, this game, the show, and then the game. So there was like 500 people there to watch this softball game between the E Street Kings and the New Orleans media team. And they all had uniforms, and I knew 2 people on my team. And the other 10 people on my team, I had no idea who they were. I think that they probably worked in the media, but they weren't critics. And 3 of them were women. And so I just kind of, I had never played with any of these people before. And I said, okay, well, I'll just do the best I can. The big heavy guy I put at first base, and But I didn't play any of the women. I'm sorry, I know that sounds really sexist, but he didn't have any women on his team, and I wanted it to be as competitive as it could be. So we met at the mound with the promoter, Bill Johnson, and I was wearing a straw hat. It's called a plantation hat. And Springsteen was wearing a hat that he had worn at his concert last night, one of those sort of Our Gang, I guess you might call it a Big Apple hat that Spanky and Our Gang used to wear. And I said, hey, Bruce, if my team wins, how about if you give me your cap? And if your team wins, I'll give you my cap. And he said, oh, man, I can't give this hat up. I just wore this hat at my concert last night. I just bought this hat. I said, okay, all right, that's cool, that's fine. So they come up. We get them out in the first inning, and we miraculously, I don't even know how I managed to put together a lineup, but we scored 5 runs. So we're ahead 5-0, and they come up to bat in the second, and they get a couple runs. We get a couple more. By about the middle of the 5th inning, it's settled into a sort of a 7-3 game or an 8-3 game. We're comfortably ahead. I'm playing 7 innings, and the 3 women are kind of going, Chuck, put me in. I want to go in. I want to play. Put me in. I said, can you catch the ball? Where am I going to play you? I can play right field. I promise I'll catch the ball to you. So I put 1 at second base and 1 in right field and 1 at third base. And Springsteen immediately went over to his guys and said, okay, we got him now. And they started hitting the ball to the women. Now, the second baseman was pretty good. She made a play. But the right fielder let 3 balls get past her, and before I knew it, what was a relatively safe lead turned into a really tight game. So it came down to the 7th inning, and we had a 10-9 lead. Springsteen was leading off. He got on base. We got an out. The next guy came up, got a base hit, so there's runners at second and first in a 1-run game, and Clarence Clemens comes up. And Clemens is a big guy, and he was hitting the ball pretty good. And he hit a hard one-hopper that came right to me. And I caught the ball. I tugged Springsteen. I whipped the ball to first base. He's not a fast runner, so we got a double play. The game's over. We win 10-9, and I immediately ran over and got the ball and had Springsteen sign it. So, really, an amazing thing about Bruce Springsteen is that the people in his band are really amazing people. 500 people had left a mess of chicken bones and Dixie cans and just crap all over the field, and they spent the next 15 minutes cleaning it up. And and some people came up to him and wanted an autograph, and about 10 minutes after the game was over, this woman comes over with a scorecard, and she says, hi, I'm Bonnie such and such. I'm from Columbia Records. You guys only scored 4 runs in the first inning. You didn't really score 5 runs. So it's really only 9-9. It's not really 10-9. Well, my team is left. I'm going, oh, come on. You got to be kidding me. And Springsteen, of course, hears this and runs out on the field. We haven't lost yet. Everyone back out on the field. And so the E Street Band is on the field, ready to play, and it's me and 2 guys that are left to take my last bats. And okay. So Bruce, I said, look, this feels like a squeeze play, and I'm the one getting squeezed here. I don't think I can field a team if I don't score a run. So why don't we just call it a tie and play 2 next time you come to town? And Springsteen said, that's a great idea. Let's trade hats. So I said, no one's going to believe that I have Bruce Springsteen's hat. So I had a photographer take my picture, and the promoter's in the middle, and we're swapping. I'm wearing his hat, he's wearing my hat, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's pretty cool. I get home, and there's no film in my camera. So I'm thinking, oh my God, no one's going to ever believe I have Bruce Springsteen's hat. About a month later, I get a call from the promoter, Bill Johnson. He says, Chuck, did you see our picture in Rolling Stone? I said, no, what are you talking about? There's a story about the softball game and your picture's in Rolling Stone with Bruce Springsteen, me and you and Bruce Springsteen in Rolling Stone. You gotta be kidding me. So of course I still have the hat. And I sold this story to Sports Illustrated. It's the only byline I ever got in Sports Illustrated, so that's my career opportunity connection. And they paid me really good money.